Hello, this is Anne LeBlanc with Excelsior Classes. Welcome back to my series entitled Why Study American Government? Today we're going to talk about the executive branch of government. The executive branch of government is created by Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, and the power of the executive branch is vested in or held by the President of the United States. There are generally 6 powers that the President possesses. The first being as Chief Executive Officer, the second being Commander-in-Chief of the United States Military, the third power is as Diplomatic Leader of the United States on the world stage, the fourth is as Legislative Leader of the United States, and Chief of State, and also Party Leader. So let me ask you, how do you refer to the President? Do you refer to him as Your Highness or to her as Your Majesty? You simply refer to the President as Mr. President. And this actually began with the first President of the United States, General George Washington. George Washington was asked how he wished to be addressed, and he said simply, "Call me Mr. President." And so that tradition has remained today. So let's talk a little bit about each one of the powers of the President, the first being as Chief Executive Officer. Article 2 of the United States Constitution creates the executive branch of government. The Chief Executive must assure that the laws of the country are faithfully executed. The Executive Office of the President, or the EOP, governs 15 cabinet departments and a variety of governmental agencies. So in essence, the President administers the bureaucracy under the Executive Office of the President. His primary responsibility is to ensure that the laws of the nation are faithfully executed and that the laws are enforced. The second role of the President is as Commander-in-Chief of the United States military. The President is the civil commander who controls military power. He possesses the ability to respond quickly in emergencies and also possesses the ability to use national security and intelligence to carry out covert operations. The third role of the President is as diplomatic leader. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution governs the duty of the President as our diplomatic leader. Executive agreements or written understandings between our President and heads of another state to carry out a particular action. In this instance, Congress has little or no power over the executive agreements as long as no law is violated. Treaties, on the other hand, must be ratified by the Senate, but executive agreements do not need ratification. Executive agreements actually give the President more flexibility and emphasize his independence in setting foreign policy. So here's a question I have for you. If you were elected President, what 2 things would you first do? The fourth role of the President is that of the legislative leader. The President has the power to set a legislative agenda. Once legislation is presented to the President, he has 10 days to veto the bill or to sign the bill into law. A pocket veto is an automatic veto of a bill if Congress adjourns before the President has 10 days to consider the bill or sign the bill into law. Now, interestingly, the President does not possess line item veto power as many state governors do. Amendments to the Constitution have been proposed to allow the president to possess this power, but keep in mind that allowing the president to have the power of line item veto would increase his ability to trim the fat from the budget, so to speak, but it would also increase his power at the expense of the power of Congress. So is this what the Founding Fathers intended? Why do you think the presidential veto power was structured the way that it was? The fifth role of the president is that of chief of state. The president is a national leader and a national symbol of the United States of America. He hosts foreign diplomats and visits foreign diplomats. He leads ceremonial events. And all of you are familiar with the Secret Service, but it's interesting to note that the Secret Service was originally established to stop counterfeiting of money and was part of the Treasury Department until 2002, when the Secret Service actually became part of the Department of Homeland Security. And the last role of the president that we're going to talk about today is that of party leader. The president is the most visible spokesman for his party. He makes important personnel appointments. Originally, it was not envisioned that the president would be the head of a political party because, recall, there were no political parties per se at the time the Constitution was created, because the Founding Fathers were very skeptical of political parties. They felt that political parties would draw people away from doing what is best for the nation and instead have them do what was best for the party. How would you decide if a president was successful? Well, the president must strive to be president of all of the people, not simply those who voted for him. And we must all keep in mind that whether or not we voted for the president, he is still the president of our country. So the president must work to achieve agreement among many different political views and ideals. He has on his shoulders innumerable issues, from foreign policy and international relations to economy and domestic relations. He must deal with Congress. He must deal with the media. He must deal with the court system and international leaders. The president must use his power wisely and not be deterred by public opinion, but should strive to be a servant of the people and listen to the voices of the citizens of the United States. So keeping in mind all of the roles of the president, the different groups or people he must work with, and the issues that he must grapple with every day. Again, I ask you, how would you decide if a president was successful? Join me next time when we discuss the judicial branch of American government in our series. I'm Anne LeBlanc with Excelsior Classes. Until we meet again.